Do you want to move to Malaysia? Well, not so quickly. Today I'm going to present you the truths and the facts about the Malaysia My Second Home program, and it is ultimately your choice what you decide to do with your life. Before we get started talking about the new requirements of the Malaysia My Second Home program for people who want to move to the beautiful tropical country located in Southeast Asia, we want to quickly review what happened during the past health crisis and how that affected how so many of you guys think about Malaysia and the Malaysia My Second Home program right now. Basically, what happened during the past health crisis is that the government of Malaysia decided to pause the Malaysia My Second Home program with the intention to relaunch it with new requirements later, which did happen in 2021. If you're familiar with the history of the MM2H program during the past health crisis, you are aware of the fact that many existing pass holders were stranded overseas. They could not return back to Malaysia. And there are many reasons why this happened. Malaysia required a quarantine, and during certain phases of the pandemic, MM2H pass holders were not allowed to enter the country. It was 2021 when the Malaysia My Second Home program relaunched with quadrupled income requirements and much higher net worth requirements. Plus, the government made an announcement stating that the new requirements will also apply to existing Malaysia My Second Home pass holders, which left a lot of people angry and frustrated because it's not what they were promised when they signed up for the Malaysia My Second Home program, which happened many years ago. You can guess if you signed up for a deal under certain requirements and all of a sudden you're told that those old requirements that you agreed on are no longer valid and that you had to meet the new requirements which were out of reach, you can understand why so many people were unhappy with this call. However, shortly after, the government made a statement that the new requirements will not apply to existing pass holders, which was a big relief to every person who was living in Malaysia under the MM2H program. All right, it is time for us to discuss the new requirements of the recently relaunched Malaysia My Second Home program. I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about the new requirements. Basically, you have three options right now. The requirements that have been announced very recently are for people between 30 to 49 years of age. What I'm about to tell you does not apply to people below 30 and above 49. Basically, there are three passes, okay? Let's start with the Platinum Pass, which is the most expensive out of all the passes. It requires a deposit of 5 million ringgit into a fixed deposit account in Malaysia. 50% of that money you cannot touch. The other 50% can later on be used for expenses such as home purchase and healthcare. Basically, 50% of your money will be tied to a fixed deposit account in Malaysia for as long as you decide to keep your Platinum Pass. Make sure you watch this whole video because I'm going to tell you some very important facts about the fixed deposit terms, because that's something that a lot of people overlook, but it's really important that you know these things. The Platinum Pass offers you the option to apply for permanent residency, but we all know that permanent residency is a difficult thing to accomplish in Malaysia. And let's not even get started talking about citizenship, which rarely happens, almost never happens for a foreigner who relocated to Malaysia. 2, the Gold Pass requires a deposit of 2 million ringgit into a local bank account. Okay, it must be a fixed deposit account. 50% of the money you cannot touch. The other 50% you can later on withdraw for expenses such as real estate purchase and healthcare. So we're looking at roughly $400,000 locked up in a Malaysian bank account. The Gold Pass allows you to stay in Malaysia for up to 15 years. Then 3, which is the least expensive option of all, the Silver Pass, which resembles a lot of the qualities or features that existing Malaysia My Second Home pass holders are enjoying right now. The Silver Pass requires a deposit of 500,000 ringgit into a local bank account. It is valid for 5 years. You cannot apply for permanent residency, but you can use 50% of that money for real estate purchase or health care. All right, let's talk about the fixed deposit, because this is often an overlooked topic, but it is so important because no matter how much money you decide to lock up in a local bank account in Malaysia, this is a big decision because, you know, if you want to lock up 5 million ringgit, that's a lot of money. That's over $1 million. And even if you have a net worth of over $5 million, $1 million locked up is a lot of money. And okay, if you're not a millionaire, but let's say you have a net worth of maybe $400,000, and you decide you are okay locking up 25% of that, which is roughly what you need to qualify for the Silver Pass. What's important here is under what circumstances are you protected by the Malaysian government, by the institution, by the regulatory authority. Let's say the worst case scenario plays out, the bank's broke, they can't pay you out, what's going to happen to your money? You need to know that Malaysian banks offer a deposit insurance protection, which is what it is, okay? It's 250,000 ringgit. This is the maximum, okay? So let's say you were to go with the silver plan and you put down 500,000 ringgit into a local bank account, and after time, let's say you're going to withdraw half of that to make a purchase, you know, you're going to buy real estate, you're going to use it for healthcare. So you're going to have 250,000 ringgit locked up in a local bank account, which is 50% of your initial deposit. Now, under this law, under the deposit insurance protection law, half of your money would be covered in the worst case scenario. This also applies to residents. And if you're not a resident, it is also applied to you. We've talked about how difficult it is to obtain residency in Malaysia. Now, you have to ask yourself, how much money am I willing to risk? On paper, 250,000 ringgit is your maximum protection. Let's say you go with the Gold Pass or the Platinum Pass, which is far, far more than the maximum protected amount. Are you comfortable putting that money at risk to secure a long-term visit pass for Malaysia? Really ask yourself that question. You have to be realistic and you have to really be honest with yourself. And this is all about your risk tolerance and how much money you have. Do I recommend it? No. I recommend you, if you really want to go live in Malaysia and if you really want to go with the Malaysia My Second Home program, I recommend you to go with the Silver Pass. We all know that Malaysia is a fantastic country to live in. Expats are enjoying the warm weather throughout the year and the diversity in cuisines that the country offers you. But you also have to ask yourself, how much am I willing to pay to access these nice features? Is it worth putting down 500,000 ringgit? Is it worth putting down 2 million ringgit? Or is it worth putting down 5 million ringgit? Ask yourself this question. You also need to know that with Malaysia My Second Home Pass, you do not qualify for citizenship. It does not lead to permanent residency. You may apply for permanent residency, but there's no guarantee that you will receive permanent residency using MM2H. We also know that foreign real estate ownership is highly restricted in the country. Only certain types of properties are available to foreigners. It's better than it is in Thailand, it's better than it is in Vietnam, it's better than in the Philippines, but it is still very restricted. On top of that, the MM2H Pass does not come with a work permit. If you want to go work in Malaysia, you have to apply for a work permit to work in the country legally. You see, there are many caveats for you to consider. Something that I always recommend people is to look into alternatives. If you want to get a retirement visa and you want to stay in Southeast Asia, consider living in the Philippines. The Philippines has a very liberal retirement visa, which hasn't really changed over the past couple of years. You can apply for that. The Philippines is a Catholic country, which is a plus in my humble opinion, and it's much, much easier to qualify for residency in the Philippines than it is to qualify for residency in Malaysia. The Philippines even offers a special program to retired veterans. I really want you to look at your retirement options from all different types of angles. Consider how long you want to be living in Asia. Consider how much money you want to put at risk. Consider where you want to be living, and many other factors that matter to you personally. Given the drastic changes in Asia over the past number of years, I do recommend people to look into alternatives outside of Asia, namely Paraguay, a country that offers a very liberal residence permit, a country where we operate in. If you're interested in getting residency in Paraguay without needing to prove economic solvency, then please feel free to reach out to us now. Mexico is another country that makes it much easier to obtain a residence permit than Malaysia. Are you wanting to relocate to Malaysia? Where are you currently located? Do you have any questions about this topic? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching Nomad Elite. We see you on the next video.